Hello, ladies and gentlemen, sports fans of all ages. Welcome to another episode of Cocktails and Curveballs. I'm your host, Jim, today. And as usual, I'm joined by Patrick Lee and Tyler. Uh, First off, I'd like to do like we do every week and thank our military, both domestic and abroad, both past and present. I'd also like to thank our first responders for the job they do and keeping us safe and as a group being able to do what we do. I'd like to apologize for last week, weather related. Just didn't get a chance to get everybody together, and we've come to a place where we would like to have an entire panel when we do a show. So I'd like to apologize to anybody that may have missed our episode last week. We got a lot to go over. We've got a new national championship and champion in football. We had wild card weekend that we didn't get to discuss. Now we've got divisional weekend, upon us. We've got a shitload going on with the coaches, both college and pro. So who'd like to get us started? Kick us off.
I'll tell you what, first thing I got to do, I got to show you guys this before, because I actually have to show this early because it's almost gone. And then I switch it up to Coors Light. So what I'm drinking today, this is out of Georgetown Brewing. It's out of Seattle. I've never been to this brewery. I've had several of their beers though. And if you can see that, it's called War Child. They have an entire IPA series that is crafted and dedicated and named after the movie Point Break, the original Point Break, with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, like legit. Like they have one IPA that's called Bodhisattva, which was Patrick Swayze's character. They called him that. This one is one of the bad surf Nazi guys, War Child. I've seen the movie 100 times. It's actually pretty good. This thing, dude, is 7.8%. That's why I'm going to be switching up to Coors Light here pretty quick. Jesus. But out of Seattle, man, it's super good. But if you're not an IPA drinker, very hoppy one, man. So they use the terminology dank, like, dank, but I'm too old for that shit. But it's a good one, but be careful with having too many of these. The one thing that I did like, I wasn't happy with getting onto the football. I wasn't happy with the Huskies losing. But it was still.
We fucked it. We fucked that whole thing up, right? We on saying if UW wins, we're gonna shotgun a beer. Or if Montana won, we were going to shotgun a beer, and now they both lost. That's the worst part.
Well, hell, we might have to do it on one of these episodes anyway, just for fun.
Yeah,
but no, that I Michigan, I enjoyed the game, but damn, I wanted UW to win, and now I'm a little worried with what's happening with DeBoer leaving. What are the Dogs going to look like? Because kids are transferring and following him, and it's going to be interesting, but the playoffs were really, really good this year. I was, a little surprised at some of the teams that made it in, but I thought everyone showed up and they were good games.
Did the Huskies hire the Arizona head coach?
Jed Fish.
That's about as good as I think they could have done. Arizona was good this year.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, they've had a pretty good football program for a few years.
Yeah.
Now.
They almost beat the Dogs.
Is anybody else? Yeah, it was good, man. Anybody else? Listen, Michigan. I think it was known Michigan had a good defense, but that Michigan defense against the Huskies, man. Good God, that was a stout D, man. I think it just got to the point where defense just took over that game.
So I don't know, man. I got a different take on that shit. It seemed to me like Washington just kind of fell into Michigan's game plan.
Yeah.
Short dink and dunk.
It's like they're trapped.
Trying to run the football. That's not who Washington was all year long.
Right.
And they, instead of trying to take the top off and stuff, they couldn't run. They were keeping 7-8 guys up front in the box and able just to go after Penix. And I don't know, it just seemed to me like they just got outside themselves to what they had been all year. They didn't stay true to themselves in that particular game.
Like maybe overthinking or something, instead of just going out there and trying to.
Penix missed a lot of throws that he doesn't normally miss.
Yeah, he didn't look
Like
very good.
like ones that have gone for touchdowns, and you're like, holy shit, that's a high flying offense. But it looked like not. He was dude. I'm sure he was fucking pumped up for the game, right? But he was overthrowing. He was shooting everything long.
Well,
he didn't look that good.
So I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm thinking to myself while I'm watching this game and watching Penix miss throws that he's normally just drops in that bucket, and he's missing these throws, wide open guys. Odunze was wide open for a touchdown, just had beat the Michigan guy, and Penix missed him. Now, is because Penix was at Indiana, never played a meaningful game, really, right?
Not really.
Not at this level, nowhere near this level.
And then
season ending.
And then Washington, who his two biggest games, arguably, were Oregon before this game.
Right.
So you can't say he hasn't played in big games, but was this game maybe too big for him?
It very well could have been, because on that stage against that team too, I mean, maybe they were trying to do something completely different, like to pull a magic trick out that, oh, you're expecting us to do this, we're going to try this. But it was tough to watch, because that Penix is that good though. And what happened that game, it was tough to watch him miss all those throws.
So
it's like sailing over and over, and I'm like, oh man.
I'm just wondering. It didn't seem like the coaching staff put him in a position to get into rhythm, because I don't feel like he was ever in rhythm that entire game. So now it's got me questioning: would you put his performance more on a play calling, or do you think it was just him coming in, he got happy feet and just couldn't get in any kind of rhythm? But I feel like as a coaching staff, especially on the collegiate level, and you have an elite quarterback like Penix, I just really feel like, as a coaching staff, you got to put your quarterback in a position to get into rhythm. Maybe some easy passes, maybe some rollouts, maybe, just let him get into the groove a little bit. And I don't feel like he ever had that from credit to credit. I feel like he was off the entire game. And I don't know, part of me wants to attribute more of that to the coaching staff than a kid that, like you said, Jim, has never really, okay, Oregon, but this is relatively a new deal to him to play in this kind of atmosphere.
Dude, how about Kalen DeBoer though?
Kalen DeBoer,
Kalen
going
DeBoer,
to Tuscaloosa.
Dude, from where he started, how fast he's ascended, that's like unprecedented, I think, right? Like, I don't know. I can't think of too many other guys that went from coaching South Dakota University to coaching, being the head coach at Alabama,
Yeah.
Like,
and he did it, like 7 years?
Like something like that.
Span?
Yeah.
It was quick.
Yeah,
he's that good of a coach.
He is a really good coach, though. I mean, he's got,
he has to be, right? Like, he just keeps proving himself
Yeah.
over and over and over, and now he's at like the pinnacle. Like, that's like he went to number one.
And I think he'll do well there too. I think he's got all the resources to Alabama's going to give him what he needs. I think he's going to do really well there. I mean, unfortunately, because now, is Alabama going to continue their powerhouse of the country?
It's going to take a while, and I'll tell you. So Kalen DeBoer got hired quick for a program like Alabama. That was within days, and
they knew who they wanted.
They knew who he wanted, and you can't tell me Saban didn't have something to do with that.
Oh, I'm sure
he gets a say in who his predecessor is.
Of course.
Successor.
Absolutely.
Successor.
I'm
fucking smart. I'm smart and I know words.
So
that's a challenge.
Who his successor is. So that was a quick hire. So obviously Saban, I'm sure, thinks a lot of him too. But here's the thing, and I don't know if you guys have been watching the transfer portal, but guys are leaving. 5-star guys are leaving Alabama one right after the other.
Yep.
I've got some buddies that are Alabama fans, and they're going, well, good luck. And Ohio State's getting a lot of them.
Yes, I saw that.
And so, they're saying, they're all telling me, hey, you're welcome for all these guys that they're leaving Alabama, 5-star guys. They're leaving Alabama to go to Ohio State. But so it's going to take a couple years, and I just hope Alabama is patient with Kalen DeBoer.
I think they will be.
Realizing that he's got to get his own class in there to be able to play, because Saban's guys are leaving.
But he's also getting some good in the transfer portal, going to Alabama because he's going to be the coach also.
Well, he's getting
it's more of an exodus from Alabama. I get it, but there's still people coming following him.
But from what I've seen, is that he's got a lot of 3-4 stars, but we've got 5-star guys from Alabama. You guys know yourself, Alabama is top 3 every year recruiting nationally.
Yep.
And
that's going to be his challenge. Can he continue?
He does have guys coming with him that he's going to be familiar with and that he knows and stuff, and that's great. But he's also got a lot of like I said, 5-star guys are leaving Alabama and going elsewhere.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of that going on everywhere, though. Really, I mean, the transfer portal. We've talked about it before, but there's a lot of universities, a lot of football
movement.
A lot of football teams that were in and around the playoffs this year that might not even sniff it next year, man.
Well, but the thing is that we're talking, there's a lot of guys leaving certain schools or going to certain schools because a coach is being hired there or whatever. But it's not on the level of Alabama and Nick Saban.
Right.
And you can almost guys went to Alabama to win national championships, to play in the NFL. And if they're going to be middle of the pack SEC, which meaning 8-3,
right?
If they're in the SEC, that's not getting them to a national playoff game. That's not getting them in front of the American people, the people that are talking about them, the people that get them to the NFL. So
8-3 there gets you in the Viagra Bowl. I mean, you want to be in the playoffs, but with it expanding next year, it's going to be a whole different animal too. So, and we've talked about that, guys. I'm excited for the expansion as much as I am anything else.
Well, I think
but you're right. It's going to take DeBoer. It's no different than Bobby Hauck in over with the Grizz. You need your class. Right. You get into that level where these are my guys that I brought in, and it's going to take some time, man. Well, but I still think they're going to win. They're going to win.
Yeah, they're going to be good next year. I mean, are they, top 5 good? Probably not. But Alabama, I feel like he's going to go in there, hit the ground running. I mean, he's not going to have a dominant Alabama team like, the last several years with Saban. But I feel like, if the chips fall in his favor, nobody should be shocked if Alabama runs a 10-2 season out there, and is right there around the playoffs. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. They're still Alabama. They're still going to, and I get it. Everybody's leaving because Saban's leaving, but it's still Alabama, man. I mean,
Nick Saban's like retire. He's going to like retire, right? Like he's not going to go to one of these NFL jobs, right?
No,
unless they offer.
No, I wouldn't. In my personal opinion, I think riding off into the sunset right now.
But how old is Saban? Was he upper 60s?
I think he's.
I honestly don't know. I think he's in his 70s, buddy.
70, is he?
I think he is. I think
he looks good for however old he is.
There's a lot. Okay, so there's a lot of people down south, younger ladies that really, really like Nick Saban because he doesn't look his age. But that program, I think I wouldn't be shocked if DeBoer gets in the playoffs and flirts with another national championship game. The guy's that good of a coach. You have no idea what's going to happen. Yeah. You're going to roll the dice.
I'm going to tell you what. If that happens, and you heard it here first, if that happens, Kalen DeBoer is the national coach of the year, because that would be an unbelievable transition in 1 year. Going from a Washington team to an Alabama team that pretty much played opposite of each other. And Kalen DeBoer goes in there, does that in 1 year, I'll tell you what, if he makes the 12-team playoff next year, that's a success.
Oh, big time. I agree.
So yeah,
I think he will. I mean,
By the way, Nick Saban, just for fact checking, Nick Saban's 72. So early 70s, 72 years old. Homeboy looks like he's 52. Okay.
He looks
I had
good.
no
Yeah.
idea he was that old. Did anybody else know he was that old? I was like 67.
Yeah, no, I knew he was in his 70s.
I didn't. I had no idea. I had no idea.
And what are the chances when we're 72 that we're going to look as good as Nick Saban does at 72? Because that ain't going to happen.
Not the years,
I'm
man.
hoping I
It's
make
mileage.
72.
Yeah.
It's not the years, it's a mileage, and I've got some hard miles on me, man. I'm not gonna lie. You know.
That is a fact, brother. I'm there with you. It's like, yeah, no, I won't even look anything remotely close to that. But again, when you have that much money and you can do that, that's fine. But stress too. This being a head coach in college, any head coach of anything, I don't care if it's Pee-wee, there's stress that goes with it.
Right. Oh yeah.
So that's good on Nick Saban. But
If you actually give a shit, you're there for the right reasons. But,
Well, yeah,
exactly.
and at this point, like the NIL money, right? It being a high profile, big time college football coach isn't that much different, I think, at the end of the day, than like an NFL coach, an NFL head coach
agreed.
who's got whoever makes the most money is going to play, right? Like that's how it is going to have to work, or they're just going to leave. Everybody signs a 1-year contract, it seems like, in the for the transfer portal, right? Everybody's on a 1-year contract. If they don't like their playing time, whatever, somebody else is going to pay them.
Right.
Like it really is
Or
wild.
Or some of these signal callers, some of these quarterbacks, they go to a team and they're getting buried the first 3 games. Fuck this. This team doesn't have an offensive line. I'm out, man.
Well, it's not only that, but listen, guys, and rightfully so. We have built this program that if you're not first, you're last. And so as a quarterback, you get named the starter. You're a high recruit yourself. Obviously, if you're going to start for a major college program, you were recruited highly at some point.
Big time.
What college team isn't going to go after the number 1 quarterback in the nation?
Right.
Oh, it's true.
So
But
here you are, a 1-year starter. Maybe you sat behind somebody else for a year. Now it's your turn to start. And all of a sudden they recruit the number 1 quarterback in the nation. Okay. So your days are numbered, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's hard to be a senior that has been through that program their whole career. Like it's going to be more rare than guys who have transferred at some point.
Well, perfect example, like Ewers in Texas. He's coming back, isn't he? Did you hear that?
Yep.
And who's he got sitting behind him? Arch Manning. It's the same thing that you were just talking about. That would be a little daunting when Arch Manning comes in and you're like the starting quarterback. You're like, holy shit, how long am I going to have my job? But Arch has backed him a lot too, which is really cool. But I appreciate what you said because I agree wholeheartedly. It's a slippery slope and things are so different, man. You go back 3 years, everything has changed. Everything has changed.
Everything is changing. And you've got to really hand it to Sarkisian, right? At Texas, because he has managed to be able to keep both of them guys. Neither one of them want to go into the transfer portal. They all Evers wants that he's eligible to go to the draft. Evers is.
Yeah.
But he wants to stay for another year. And Arch Manning doesn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah, he said he's good with it.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think this next college year is going to be unlike anything that anybody's really ever seen. Due to the transfer portal, playoffs will be expanded. I just think this next college year, it's going to be crazy, man. I mean, it's going to be nuts. Just how differently
conference realignment is going to be crazy.
Yeah,
the schedule in the Big Ten and the SEC is going to be nuts. Every
power grid is going to be just completely, up is going to be down.
It's going to be the game of the week that everybody's like, oh, that's the one I want to see this weekend. It's going to be either a Big Ten game or an SEC game all season,
or both. Yeah. I mean, the
schedule,
you got to shop for both. Out how it works out, and we're going to be able to see. This is going to be actually pretty fan friendly, you guys. If you're a college football fan, you've got to enjoy a a big SEC game, a big Big Ten game,
Oh,
or a couple SEC games, or a couple
Yeah.
Big Ten games
Mhm.
in one weekend, that you're going to get to watch. So it's going to be very fan friendly. And then the 12-team playoff. Dude,
Oh,
that's
yeah, and the
friendly. Maybe the NCAA knows a little more than we do about what
Oh,
they're.
I'm sure.
Well, the NCAA is already crafting the schedule if it's not already done, even with all the realignment. So, okay, so this is going to be the biggest game this weekend. So we're going to have that one at 2:30. This one's going to be at 4:30 or 5:30, 6 o'clock, whatever, so that they can all be seen and shown. That's where the money comes from, man.
Oh yeah,
Get all the
of course.
stuff, and the people are going to be there. I'm excited for it. Hell, I want to sit and watch football all day.
Yeah, it's going
I
to
do
be
that anyway.
How long until the Big Ten and the SEC or just the AFL and the NFL be?
That's well.
AFC, NFC.
Are we
The
there?
AFC, NFC, but I mean,
But I mean,
of college
are we
football, they're
already
just
there?
the two leagues. We're
pretty
right.
close.
Are we already there? We're very close.
Yeah.
Well, if you look on paper at the teams that are in those conferences, we're already there.
Yeah, we're there.
I agree.
Minus a Florida State and Clemson team that we've already seen what happens to them. They'll get left out being undefeated and put two 1-loss teams in.
Yeah.
How
You know what
about
I'm kind of
did Oregon State and Washington State see the writing on the wall of going like, no, people are jumping ship right now to go here and there, and guys are getting left out, but the guys that are getting left out first now get to dictate, especially in that instance of Washington State and Oregon State. They are already now dictating their future on how it's going to go. The Big 12, the ACC, those teams aren't going to be able to compete, right?
No.
So every best player is going to go to somewhere in the Big 10 or the SEC. So, and all those other teams, and then all those other teams are going to get left out, and and then we're left with.
And that's pretty.
So 2 and 3 star players, yeah.
Well, that's pretty much how it's already. That's how it's already played out. I mean,
yeah.
Not to change the subject, I want to get everybody's idea. So does everybody think Belichick is done, or do you guys? Does anybody here see him taking the reins of another franchise? Which
no, he's not done.
Right?
Well, yeah.
He's not done.
Speaking of coaching carousels, I don't think he's done, but is he not done because and listen, man, to me he's the best coach to ever live. But is he not done for a win record?
Yep.
To beat Shula's
I think
win
that's part of it. I think
Well,
that's part of it.
honestly, I think that's 100%.
Is he actually done to win, or is he actually coming back to win another championship? I would like to believe he wants to win another championship.
I think both of those can be true at the same time. I do. I think that the win record is in the back of his mind. But I think guys like Belichick, and you can go ahead and throw Saban in a hat too. I will be astounded if Saban truly is gone. And that includes him taking reins of an NFL team, because I feel like he may never admit to this, but I feel like that's an avenue that he never really was successful at. So it wouldn't shock me in a little bit for Saban to take the reins of some NFL team. But I think that's true, Jim. I think that Belichick, the fire's still burning in him. I think he doesn't like how his last season in New England ended. Who would? And I do think that the win record is in the back of his mind. So
I think he's got a hard on for Don Shula's record. I think, and he's already proven he's the best coach. I mean, look at the rings, guys. Come on. There's no comparison. But I do think he wants that is the cherry on top. Yeah. To not only have the 6 Super Bowls, but also have the total win record as a coach. I think it's huge, because who's going to touch it? The way people get fired so quick in the NFL, you get a couple of years. If you don't perform, you're down the road.
Well, can we all agree that so what a luxury for him to just be able to just cherry pick, because he's not going to go to a freaking Carolina Panthers, man. He's not going to go to a New York Giants. I feel like he's going to go to a team with two things available. One, a legitimate franchise quarterback, and 2, a little bit of draft stock so he can shape that team how he wants to. But he's not going to a team that's over the cap, has a bum for a quarterback. I mean, I feel like he's going to put himself in a situation where he can not only get that win record, but his team is going to routinely be in the playoffs. I mean,
Why
It
am
is
I the
great.
only one that has told America and our 17 people what I'm drinking? What the hell? Is anybody else having beers with me today?
Oh, I am. This may shock a few of you, but I'm doing another Big Lebowski. That's vodka. That's Clue and Cream. So, cheers.
I'm like, I had to get that out there because it was almost gone. I'm like, okay, so I got to share this because it's going to be empty, and I'm on to my
Sure.
Coors Lights.
What
do you got, Jimmy?
I'm the dude
Guys,
today, man.
I've got some things this afternoon to where I can't even get started drinking. So I'm just doing.
Oh, do you got to go to work?
No, I
That's
don't know.
responsible.
I don't know, and that's the thing. So, no, it's just Diet Mountain Dew for me, man. My caffeine.
Hey, so the Majestic Lion being responsible. I'm digging this. This is actually pretty impressive, really. Tyler, what do you got? Are you on your Busch Lights?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I figured you'd shock
got
us
a
with
beer
something
mid
crazy.
going over here. No,
I'm
no,
starting
dude,
to get
not
them
today.
too.
I don't think it's in my best interest to really get into them too hard today. I'm like taking a nap.
What,
Not after all the work you've been doing.
Can I ask, did anybody watch the fights last night? Because I feel like Strickland
I
should have won
did.
that fucking fight.
Everything I read said the same. I mean, a lot of people, I guess, were saying the same thing.
Well, don't you? Wait a second. You still got to beat a fucking champion, right? I mean, don't you have to fucking beat a fucking champion?
It's how it
Yeah.
has. It's how it's been. Yeah, recently.
I mean,
I watched.
I'm
I
sorry.
actually watched the fight.
So
I
did
only saw highlights.
That
And
fight-
the highlights
that fight-
that looked so even.
That fight at the end of 4 rounds, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought it was 3-1 Duplessis.
What?
Yeah,
Duplessis?
Duplessis he was better on the ground, way better on the ground.
You can't. Those weren't even considered. I mean, basically all he did was push him up against a fence. It wasn't like. I mean, those weren't. Maybe one of those were legitimate takedowns.
Here's what I will say: Strickland is by far the better fighter. He's so much better in the ring, but he also got out of his because of Duplessis' ground game. I felt Strickland got out of his game, meaning, Strickland, man, he's coming forward, he's walking you down. And he got on his back foot, which gave Duplessis the chance at his legs instead of him coming forward. And I honestly thought, watching the fight, again, not being a judge, not being at ringside, but I did watch the fight, and I actually thought the end of 4, it was 3-1. It was close, but I thought it was 3-1 Duplessis with Strickland winning round 5. But by then it's 3-2. I thought Strickland was going to have to take him out in the 5th round and to win that fight. And that's for
Didn't
me.
quite get there.
Just watching.
Yeah, I just, and I'm not okay if you go by letter of the law, and maybe Duplessis had, he had beat him on paper. I don't think he did enough to beat a champion. I mean, if you barely beat a champion keeps his fucking belt, man. I mean, I feel like you have to convincingly beat the fucking champion, and I don't think he did that. I don't.
But see, here's the thing. I don't. That's what I like about MMA over boxing. That's a boxing thing. I have watched it in boxing so many times where the champion definitely lost, but he didn't get knocked out.
So they let him keep his belt.
He got outpointed. He didn't get out, so he keeps the belt. But that's the one thing I love about the MMA is that as the champion, you better fight like a fucking champion. And Strickland, I'm sorry, guys, he was the better fighter without a doubt. He just looks better. He's quicker. He's more controlled. But he lost his ring generalship last night. He got taken out of his game. And
there's going to be a rematch. Yeah, I can bet your ass on that.
No, he's already been calling out Adesanya, hadn't he? Stylebender?
Yeah, what's a bigger fight though? I can't imagine that pay-per-view sold that well last night. Or do you guys think it did? Or do you guys think it did? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did really well.
Right,
yeah.
But now didn't he call out? He called out Adesanya right away after the fight, didn't he?
Well,
Well,
I
it's
don't
like
think
you need to
anyone-
get back in the UFC. You need to get back in the UFC so we can,
He's gonna give Strickland his rematch. Those guys were a class act last night.
I don't
feel
think
like-
I don't think he wants to fight Strickland again.
I don't think he does either.
I think that fight, if it's not headlining an event, but is like the number 2 fight or the number 3 fight, that's going to be a really good card. But I think them two headlining again isn't necessarily what the UFC wants.
Put it on the same card with O'Malley, coming back to defend. When is that one happening?
There you go. Like that's going to sell a lot more than
that would be a UFC that
night.
I would do the pay-per-view for that.
They weren't they just on the same card? Isn't that when they both won the championship?
I think it is. Yeah, I think you're right.
I didn't get to see.
O'Malley and Strickland, they were pretty much back-to-back fights, right? O'Malley won.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then do it again because that would be a huge.
That was a
pay-per-view.
great card. Great.
Yeah, I think so too.
But guys,
Now, what do you think, though?
I think Duplessis won. But I see where you're coming from, Patrick, about beating a champion. On the other hand, that's the beauty of MMA.
Well, and I agree with you. That was a part of frustrating. It was frustrating for me. I think for a lot of boxing fans is that, a challenger had to almost go and knock a champion out, which is bullshit. And I'm not even talking about that. I just don't feel. I mean, you think he definitely won. I think he could have won. And to me, could have won shouldn't be enough to take a champion's belt. And I'm not talking about how lopsided you have to win in boxing. Don King was all behind that. But I still feel like even if you go letter of the law and Duplessis, outscored him on the cards, I just think it was still, even all that being said, it was still an even enough fight where Strickland should have kept the belt.
I wouldn't even try attempting. And you guys, both of you, Pat, you and Jimmy, you're saying the name. I didn't even know how to pronounce the last name properly, so I go with DDP.
I've ever heard it said. Yeah, I have no idea how to say his name. When you guys are saying it, I don't even know if you're right because it's the first time I've ever heard it.
I have no idea.
I'm like betting you guys are wrong.
The S on the end is silent because of where he comes from. It's Duplessis.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Dricos Duplessis.
Where's he from? Who is this guy?
He's South African.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was just saying.
I've seen him before. Oh, South African.
Okay, yeah. I knew where you were going with that.
Oh, okay.
South African.
South African.
No, that took me to Lethal Weapon 2, and I'm going to leave that one alone.
Yeah.
Free South Africa, you dumb son of a bitch. Anyway,
hey, but let's get back. Rocky fought a good fight.
Yeah, he did.
Hats off to Raquel Pennington. I work with her cousin. And,
nice.
He's talking about it all the time. He was all jacked up last night.
Get him on a 5 for 5. Get him on here to talk some shit.
Yeah. What about
he could probably enlighten us even more?
I had a question.
I want to. Lee, did you say he did? Raquel Pennington's a woman.
No. Did I? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I think unless I thinking of the wrong person.
I have no idea.
Oh, it is. You're right. No, it's Raquel Pennington.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's a
Woman.
Yeah.
She fought last night?
Yeah. And
Silva, the last 30 seconds of the fight, she's down at least 2 rounds, and she decided to just take a nap the last 45 seconds. It's like, come on.
Dude, she took a nap. She took a nap the last couple rounds.
I know, but
she got so tired.
45 seconds in the ring, and she's just laying on her back with her feet in the air, staring at Pennington. It's like, really? That's what you're going to do?
You know what surprised me too about the fights last night?
I got to leave that alone.
How many people missed weight?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Fuck,
no shit.
Yeah, it was just, you guys are professional fighters. One guy, Ramon Taveras, missed by 4 pounds.
How is that even? I mean, you'd think his trainer, his corner would be like, Jesus. I don't know, man.
Well, fuck, man. I remember Pat way back in the day when he had to cut for wrestling. I'm like, holy shit, that doesn't look pleasant at all.
No.
Yeah,
But
no.
it's your job, and we're talking high school.
Yeah.
These
Oh,
guys
yeah.
get paid to do this stuff. You would think they
Well,
would be on top of it.
and in wrestling, it's really bad because you go to these invitationals, and Jim and Tyler know this as well. But if you're a quarter pound over, then you move up. And now you're wrestling guys that have to cut for the weight class that you now get put into. You look across the mat and you're like, that's the dude I got to wrestle. He looks like he's outweighs me by 40 freaking pounds, man. It's not fun at all.
It's amazing how much 4 or 5 pounds make after you hydrate and eat, and then come fight night or match night or whatever, how much bigger that person is. And especially since weight classes usually go in about 10s, anywhere from 7 to 10 pounds. A man that's 10 pounds heavier than you that you've got to go out there and wrestle for 6 minutes.
And he looks he may be 10 pounds heavier than you, but he looks like he's 17.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Hey, I was just the guy giving Pat shit because he wouldn't go drinking that night because he was cutting weight, man. And I was like, I mean, I get it. I mean, I'll drink some for you, but I mean, I felt bad, and I saw you suffer a few times, man. I saw you suffer trying to cut weight. I'm like, Jesus.
Myself. I mean, and that's why we had the skin fold test, because they're like, okay, you can drop 3 pounds. Well, I already dropped 6 or 7. And there's been several times where the team physician would tell me, the only reason I'm letting you wrestle this class is because you already weighed in, but I wouldn't have okayed for you to drop down to this class. I got told that I couldn't lose 1 more pound. Yeah. And that's
no
a real
shit.
thing.
Wow.
Because you don't have the body fat. I mean, if you have like 2% body fat, which is me in high school, you can't drop 3 pounds. Well, I already fucking did.
I was at 2.5% at 148 pounds. I was at 2.5% body weight and was told you cannot lose another pound.
Right.
Asking for a friend. Are you guys still?
What do you
around
guys
that
look
2,
like now?
3%
So you guys
range?
are like you guys are in like really good shape then, right?
I mean, it's all a matter of perspective, Ty. It's all a matter of perspective.
Hey, all that percentage of body fat all came back at once. Trust me.
Yeah.
I was just curious if you guys were still paying attention. I mean, because I feel like you might be a little bit above where you used to be.
Hey guys, so I want to get back to the coaching carousel a little bit because I want to find out. So Harbaugh, he's hot.
Right.
I really love the fact that the Raiders retained Antonio Pierce. I thought
was awesome.
That's a good hire. Good hire.
Yeah. Great idea. So you got Belichick out there. I know we've got a lot of assistant coaches. I don't know about Dan Quinn. I know he's interviewed with some teams, but
that's a bad look, right? Is anybody hiring Dan Quinn after what happened? I mean, here's the thing. So I didn't, I don't follow the Cowboys, okay? But a really good friend of mine that is a lifelong Cowboys fan, and he broke it down to me, and he said, because I don't even know if I really watched a whole lot of the game, but I do know they gave up mass points quickly. And he told me, he said, listen, here's why the Cowboys fans want Quinn fired so badly. They spend the whole season playing man defense, okay, which allows you to take who's their big pass rusher? Micah
Parsons.
Allows Micah Parsons to do what he does best, get after the quarterback. In that game, Dallas ran zone they played zone the whole game. They're dropping now all of a sudden. Instead of Micah Parsons getting after the quarterback, you're dropping Micah Parsons into coverage. That's not his strength. That's not his fucking strength, man. What do you? So here's the thing. Dallas spent the season being top 5 defensively. I mean, they had a really good defensive squad pretty much all season long. Why the fuck would Dan Quinn just let's just do something different for the opening round of the playoffs? So I feel like Dan Quinn, if anybody should lose their job, Dan Quinn should. And then on top of that, who's throwing this fucking guy an interview, man? You just gave up 28 points to a wild card team at half at home. And you're interviewing for what exactly? fucking.
Well, normally I would have said it's probably the Raiders, but the Raiders just locked their guy up, and because the team loves him, and I'm happy about that. We touched on, but I don't know that he should get a job, but
I don't
I
think,
think
I
he's
honestly, you
fired.
guys, I don't think he will. I honestly, after that, don't think he will, because you don't think that's going to be one of the first questions asked in the interview?
Jesus.
What happened?
Yeah.
you know how he'll sell it? He'll be like, well, you got to understand, Jerry was in my earpiece. Jerry was talking. He could lie. I mean, whether that's true or not, he could totally pull that card and get hired. Somebody will hire him.
Here's how I feel
Somebody's
about
going
that,
to
Lee.
grab him.
Here's how I feel about that, Lee. It would be easier to explain if you ran your same defense out there in that game and Jordan Love just fucking beat you. Hey, man, we've been successful. Then at least you have history. You can say, hey, we were a top 5 defense all year long. Jordan Love was better that game. Nobody can argue that. In that game, why would you change the whole complex of your defense? The fuck are you doing?
It's not.
I'm getting it, but
it's
the
not.
NFL will hire anybody. I mean,
it's not just that. Where was CD Lamb?
Right. Oh, I know, but being down
Bingo.
28, that's kind of fucking important, man.
So I've said it before on this show, and anybody that has listened to us knows how I feel about the Cowboys. And it's not any one of the players or even really coaches in particular that I could put my finger on that the reason why I feel about them the way I do. But they have proven once again to be the most dysfunctional team in professional sports.
Hard to argue
and
that, man.
Here's where I'm going with this. So they retained Mike McCarthy and apparently Dan Quinn too. I mean, he's interviewing for other jobs, but so they're retaining them. But they wait till almost a week goes by to come out and say that.
Yeah.
Do you really think that Jerry Jones hadn't made some inquiries?
Oh, guaranteed.
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did.
Do you think these other coaches that he inquired about, what do you think these other coaches told Jerry Jones?
GFY?
You know Belichick.
Oh.
No, thank you. Want no part of
Belichick's been around enough that he knows what happened to Jimmy.
Well,
in Dallas.
He was with Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft let him coach. He let him.
He ran the ship. He ran there.
Yeah, and so he's not going someplace where he's got Jerry Jones breathing down his neck. There's no way. And after seeing the shit show that is the Dallas Cowboys, any of these other hot coaches, these hot commodity coaches, right? None of them are going to go there either.
They don't want to be in Dallas. So real quick, because we've gone
now you've
through
got the
wild
Jason
card.
Garrett effect. Now you got the Jason Garrett effect.
Yep, we've gone through wild card. We're in divisional. So what are we doing? So who? Yeah, like Tyler, your team, the Ravens. This is where I'm going. Starting with you, Tyler. So who we think is going to be in the Super Bowl as of right now? Now, granted, we understand there's a couple games today. We're in the divisional round. But I mean, things have been shaken up a little bit. The Ravens did what they needed to do. My Dolphins took a shit, obviously, and got flushed. But around the horn, who do you guys think right now? Because things have changed. Who's going to be in the Super Bowl? Eagles are out.
I don't think they changed that much. I think we pretty much said Baltimore, San Francisco, right from the get-go. I think.
Hey,
that's
on that note,
still a little worried.
On that
San
note,
Francisco had to come back, man. It's going to be interesting.
A win in the playoffs, though, it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it translates like it does in the regular season, where you can be like, oh, this team is trending down. You know, I think in the playoffs, you just fucking win and survive, and they could go blow somebody out. They could go blow somebody out by 30 next week.
Well, everybody raises their game. Everybody raises their game, man. So even beating a team that only won 9 games in the season playoffs, that's a completely everybody's 0-0, man. So what I want to ask is, has anybody else seen right now NFL? One of you guys have seen this story. NFL is having a lot to fucking explain for, because this commercial got released last weekend
Saw it.
And it wasn't supposed to be, right? I mean, it was a
saw it.
supposedly screw up, right? But anytime something like this happens, somebody intentionally does it, almost like they're narking, like, oh, here's what I know. Check this out. Anyways, every Super Bowl has a color, you know, the banner and everything. Last year's was green and red. The year before was the Rams and whoever the hell. This year, the banner, it's purple and red. And last weekend, now keep in mind, last weekend there were still 10 teams alive. Okay, 10 teams alive in for the Super Bowl. And last weekend, somebody fucked up and released a headline saying, you know, Reba McEntire and
yes,
you know, and there's 3
are
artists
going to perform.
Usher and Post Malone
in the Ravens
February 11th.
Well, okay, so we're not even at the point
I took the 12th off.
Attaboy. That's a smart.
I already took it off.
Well, what's it going to look like? What are the optics going to look like? Keep in mind, this got released last weekend. 10 teams are still alive. It turns out to be the Niners and the Ravens. That's a really bad look, man. I mean, you got
fuck that. They're the 2 best teams in the league. Fuck that. You don't give me that fucking bullshit. You believe in the script? You believe that it's predetermined?
I do. To a certain extent,
You're
I do.
so fucking full of shit.
Okay, so you tell me.
No way, dude.
You're saying that because it's your team, Tyler. You're saying it's because your team, but if you take an unbiased approach,
have you watched very many of their games? They fucking kicked the dog shit out of the Dolphins. They kicked the fucking dog shit out of the Niners.
You're confusing apples and oranges. I'm not saying any of that's not true. What I'm saying is, you mean to tell me that was just a coincidence that 2 weeks ago they advertised the Niners and Ravens Super Bowl? That's just a coincidence.
I think they're the 2 best teams. They're the 2 best teams.
What it is that it's a terrible, terrible black eye on the NFL, especially being how many people are believing that the script and it's rigged and everything else, that everybody that's talking about it, it's just a bad, and here we go again. I'm going to say the words. The optics are terrible.
They're horrible.
When something like that comes out, because it's automatically, dude, that blew up, went viral immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, so how do you know with all these teams still in the playoffs, how do you know that these people are performing at the Super Bowl with San Francisco and Baltimore? And that was could have
just been a whoopsie-daisy. Could have been a whoopsie-daisy. Somebody fucking typed it in wrong. Somebody typed it in wrong.
Good luck.
You know what, Pat? And you know what? Yeah, because it is my team, maybe I'm defending a little bit of the fact that this is what people think. But if you also watch them play, they're fucking good.
I'm not disputing any of that. Tyler, I'm not disputing anything. I'm not disputing the fact that both teams probably are the most deserving to get there. What I am disputing the fact is that last call in the Super Bowl is what I'm holding on to. Jalen Hurts should have had the ball down by 2 with a minute 20 in the league, minute 20 in the game. Okay. Maybe Philly wouldn't even have won that game. It's possible. Kansas City could have stopped him. But that fucking horse shit call that they could have called all game long. Okay. They wait till the last fucking till Philadelphia stops them on 3rd down. They throw that call. Next thing you know, they give the ball back to Hurts with 12 seconds on the clock, down by 6. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Okay, now just entertain me. Entertain me here. So, do you think right now Brock Purdy and Deebo Samuels and Ayuk and Kittle and McCaffrey, do you think they're like, okay, well, darn it, I guess second's good enough? Or do you think if they could go out there and with just a bomb here, bomb there, and go run the Ravens out of the Super Bowl? Is it still a script? I mean, like, how does this script work?
Well, listen,
the players are like, oh, I'll go 85% today.
Listen, I'm sure it's different for the players because when you're in a game, man, you're doing what you love to do. You're getting paid for it. So I'm sure it's different for the players. What I'm saying is, and I'm not even sitting here saying that they knew what 2 teams were going to play at the beginning of the season. I'm not saying that, but I do. I mean, it is awfully hard to argue the fact that there are certain games that two teams play where there's calls that are made that are just so fucking egregious.
Well, but honestly, Pat, Jim's right on this one because I'm telling you, it's a black eye for the league. And you know,
Yes,
honestly,
absolutely.
okay, so let's play. I'll pull one of Jimmy's devil's advocate things. Maybe it's some person that works with the broadcast or whatever, and they have a small position, and they think it's going to be funny because that's the two teams they want to see, and just bear with me. What I'm saying is it's a really hard thing for the NFL now to be like, shit, that was just on TV. Because what happens is more and more questions.
Was this not in like fucking Iowa?
It was on a
City?
game broadcast. Wasn't it on a game broadcast?
Yes, it was.
It was on a wild card game broadcast.
Yeah.
Yes. And it came out, and
NBC.
You can Google it, Tyler. You'll find it. But it just looks bad. I don't think when these guys get to the Super Bowl, I'm sorry, I think the Christian McCaffreys of the world, the Lamar Jacksons, they're going to leave their heart and soul on that field to win that.
Of course, I'm not disputing any of that.
Now, kid, does it look terrible? Yes. Do I question a lot of things that I see with the NFL, game to game, week to week, even in the playoffs? Sure. You know, I question some of the calls or non-calls or, oh, wait, now you decide to call it. I agree with you on that. But I think once they get there, it's going to be that game would be an amazing game.
It would. Yeah, I think it's still going to be a good Super Bowl. And I'm not even disputing both teams deserve to be there. That's all fine and good. And to be clear, I've only felt like this the last couple of years. Ain't like, you know, this is how I felt for 5 years. I mean, it just seems like to me, it has been more in our face the last couple of years than it's ever been. And then I'll even admit that there's a possibility that it really is just simple coincidence. What I'm saying is there are more and more people every year that come out and suggest, in fact, declare that the NFL is a rigged fucking league. And if it's not, the NFL is not doing much to fucking counter that.
I mean, totally.
What do you think? What do you think the reason is that they chose? Why did they choose the Ravens? Why did they choose who they choose then?
Probably your quarterback, I would say, the number one reason. I mean, you guys are good. I'm not saying you don't deserve it, Ty. Let me just start there.
I'm not even saying Ravens. If it's been rigged, why are they choosing who they're choosing?
Lamar Jackson.
I'm just asking.
Lamar Jackson. He is a show all in himself. Like, why wouldn't they want him to be on the biggest stage in front of millions and millions and millions of people? I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, you know, everybody loves watching that guy run. They love watching him play. Why not throw a young kid like that with that much ability? Fuck yeah, put him in the Super Bowl. Same thing as Purdy. Same thing as McCaffrey. I'm not saying they don't deserve it because they both teams do. But you're asking me why they want Ravens in the Super Bowl? Fucking 1,000% Lamar Jackson. 1,000%.
Is he that marketable? I don't know that.
I'll tell you what.
After he just now wins his second MVP, sure, but like on a national scale, I'm just asking.
What is he? 26? He's still a young kid, man. I mean, it ain't like we're talking about a 32-year-old guy that can play football. This guy's got a lot of years.
The other thing is that he's in Baltimore. Okay, could you imagine Lamar Jackson if he was in San Francisco, or if he was in Dallas, these high profile, or in Philly, or whatever, super high profile? It's amazing to me how many people still don't believe in the Baltimore Ravens, man.
Yeah, I mean,
it's amazing to me. They are so good. They're so physical. You watched that game yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, hey, this Texans team is super young. They don't know. They're just 110%. You know, they don't know where they're supposed to be at this point. And the Ravens made them look fucking, dude.
Well, the second half was a lot different than the first half.
Well, to me, so I agree with that, Jim. But to me, what my eyeballs showed me was that the first half, it was more or less it was like two boxers feeling each other out, trading punches. Second half to me was like Baltimore came out and said, okay, playtime's over. We're done fucking playing with this fucking team. Let's slam the fucking door. And second half was like watching fucking, Alabama go up against the Grizzlies. I mean, it was just, they just said, we're fucking better. Fuck off.
Correct.
I mean,
they are, but it's just amazing. So marketability, I'm not so sure that he's so marketable right now, but I think that's where they might be going with this.
Sure.
Dude,
No
he
guarantee.
doesn't care about
No,
any
he
of that
doesn't.
shit. He doesn't give a
doesn't.
fuck. All
And
he
that's-
likes to
that's-
do is play football, it seems like.
He's electric.
You're right.
You don't
He
hear about him
doesn't.
in the headlines.
He doesn't, Ty. And this has nothing on him whatsoever.
No,
Yeah.
Nothing
It's
on
not.
him.
It's attitude. He's
the-
electric. He's
Soft. He's like soft spoken and shit. Like in
But you
interviews,
know
he's
what,
like
I don't
just
see
like
him
kinda talks
standing
like
next
this.
to. I don't see him standing next to Justin Herbert selling a Subway sub. So
Exactly.
maybe
That's
maybe-
exactly what I'm saying.
But maybe if he gets a ring, another, and then all the big money, because that whole contract situation was a big deal. It was in the news. Maybe
Well,
that'll
yeah.
be the thing where next thing you know, he's on Domino's commercials. He's
I don't-
pimping Subway
Or
subs.
did that? Is that why the Ravens went? We're gonna pay you extra, but don't do that shit.
right.
Just worry
Maybe.
about play. Just play football. And
But,
he's like, he said when the Ravens traded back into the first round at number 32 and selected him, that's what he said when he put that hat on, that I'm bringing a Super Bowl to Baltimore. And now he's staring down the barrel of being a 2-time MVP. And we'll see how it goes. Anything could happen unless the script is true. And maybe
I
it's just a
feel like-
script thing.
But I feel like you guys are missing the main thing here, and that is, as quiet as he might be and class act and doesn't like showing off, actions speak louder than words. And his personality and his aura might be on this end of the scale. His play making ability is over on the other end, like it or not. He plays loud, man. He plays electric. His playmaking, his ability on the field, and what he does on tape is so far on the other end of the spectrum from his attitude and his conservativeness. So it doesn't matter what he says or how he acts. The NFL's looking at his highlight reel every fucking time he touches the ball.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to fucking brag or talk shit or run his mouth or hold up his tongue.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do that. Because
But he
because
could.
when he-
Okay. Now
Oh.
I'm getting back on your side of this whole thing because
when
that
he
all
gets
sounds
the
pretty good.
ball- When he gets the ball, he's a highlight reel, and he's almost impossible to stop. So he's electric, and that's what the NFL loves about this kid, is that he's a highlight reel every time he takes the ball.
So maybe it's the perfect storm, right? It's a guy with the ability that also says, I'm just going to just play football. I have the ability. I have
It
all
is-
the ability, and I don't need all the outside noise. I don't need any of that stuff. And the NFL just goes, we can get behind that.
Here's the best way I can say
Like
that.
a good guy.
Imagine being a D coordinator in the league and sitting down with your defense and watching Lamar Jackson take a ball and then pushing pause and turn around and saying, yeah, I got nothing. I mean, what do you
Well,
fucking tell your
Dude,
defense?
could you imagine trying to tackle him in space one-on-one?
No,
Just- it's a
I would
nightmare, man.
refuse.
Nightmare to prepare for. He's an absolute fucking nightmare.
which in steps the NFL.
Right.
This has nothing to do with Lamar Jackson.
No, it
This
doesn't.
is putting him on the big stage for America to see this superstar that is so low key but so goddamn good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the
I
average
agree with
football fan that watches the playoffs and definitely going to watch and go to a Super Bowl party, right?
Yep.
That doesn't know, that still listen to the doubters about Lamar Jackson in their ear about how, oh, but can he throw? Oh, what happens when his legs get hurt? Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, they put him in front of them people, see? Now that markets the NFL. We've already seen what the NFL does. They put the
Right.
fucking shit on Amazon Prime. They put it on.
Oh God, don't get me
Peacock.
on that. Peacock
They
fucking
put it on
streaming. I had to
Peacock
get
for
fucking
110 million.
Peacock.
You don't think that they're marketing their players?
Oh, of course.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Hey,
And you
I'm all
gotta
good with
also
that
think-
shit. Then you know what? Maybe I'm into the script.
Yeah.
I think you guys might just
Hey,
change my mind.
if it supports your team, you should.
If
be.
it's your team, right? But that's like, okay, so how marketable is it if this shit is gonna get leaked and you know your team's not gonna win the Super Bowl? If it got leaked this year, how could it not get leaked?
How would you like to be
people are gonna know? So
Buffalo?
why would you watch your team? Why would you pay $400 to have
Because
the
you
red
still
zone?
because you still have people that believe, man. Regardless of the
You have
leakage,
enough. You make it
still-
so expensive that you have enough people that believe in it.
it's the most important. It's the most popular sport in the world. So
Oddly
I mean-
enough, it is worldwide outside of soccer.
soccer,
But-
right? Okay,
But
it's
it
still
is,
way the fuck up there, man.
It's way the
is.
fuck up there.
it is. But guys, the NFL in the last 5-6 years have lost more fans, more viewers. Even and most of them people, I'll be completely honest. Most of them people were just your bandwagon guys anyway. You know,
Right.
your whoever's popular.
Casual fan.
You know, so well, they kneel for the national anthem. Oh, I'm not watching the NFL anymore.
Right.
Okay. Now this stuff is coming up about this being rigged and everything. It's still being talked about. You know what?
Yeah.
Madonna years and years and years ago said bad publicity is still publicity.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's true.
No, it still keeps them in the headlines, and people are talking about all the bullshit because conspiracy theorists like us, conspiracy theorists. Okay, so maybe there is a script.
Well, and
But
let's
again,
just-
it's what are we talking about?
let's not pretend like script or no script. Going to an NFL game, postseason or regular season, doesn't fucking matter. Dude, that is a bomb ass fucking time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, going to an NFL
Guaranteed.
game, there's nothing fucking like it. So
No,
script,
guaranteed.
no script, man. It's all entertainment, you know.
It is. It is. You know what, guys? Hey, man, I know we had a week off, but glad everything went good for you, T, because I know you got slammed over in your neck of the woods. Anyway, we should probably get on some curtain calls, those boys, kind of wrap this baby up.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
that's where I was going with this, Lee. First off, I'd like to say, thanks for everybody that's listening. Thanks for everybody that's following. Again, you can find us on Gmail, Cocktails and Curveballs, Instagram, Facebook. Check us out on Spotify while you're driving, while you're at work. Listen to us on Spotify and of course YouTube. That's where you can find Cocktails and Curveballs. All you got to do is punch in them keywords and we'll pop up somewhere. So yeah, let's get on to curtain calls, guys. Great show. Thank you guys for all your input. I think it was real interesting. We talked about some controversial shit that I'm sure we're going to get some backlash and people agreeing with us also. So with that being said, who wants to go first on their curtain calls?
I'd like to man, I love this kid, man. I wish Miami had like 7 first-round picks in their back pocket we could trade for him. But tell anybody who is confused, keep an eye on CJ Stroud. Tell you something, man. That kid, electric as hell. Rookie of the year, I'm sure. Going forward, Texans got their guy, man. This kid is only going to get better. Doesn't wilt under the lights. Got an absolute cannon for an arm. Super mobile. I really think in the next few years, so him and Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love has finally arrived. I think everybody was kind of unclear what they had, but I think he transformed about halfway through the season. He just took his game to the next level. So I think going forward, 2 names to watch would be CJ Stroud and Jordan Love. I think those 2 cats, man, they're going to accomplish a lot in the next several years. So congrats on 2 really good seasons, both those guys.
Agreed.
I got one super quick. This one, and me being, and we haven't really hit too hard on this yet. And I'm assuming we're gonna, but the NHL, huge Colorado Avalanche fan, and all the way back in the day when I first became a diehard fan, Patrick Waugh was the goalie for the Avs. He was ex-Montreal Canadiens, won Stanley Cups there. Then he comes to Denver, wins Stanley Cups there. Patrick Waugh actually had a coaching stint in Denver with the Avalanche. He did some really crazy stuff. I mean, he was making some crazy calls. They won. They did well. Third year, it wasn't working out so much anymore. He just got hired to coach the New York Islanders. And only because I am that big of a fan of Patrick Waugh, and he's a wild card as a coach. I mean, some of the things, I mean, pulling a goalie with 4.5 minutes left, down by 2 goals or down by a goal. And I mean, sometimes it worked early on, sometimes it didn't. But I'm really excited to see how he does with another franchise. And he's going to be in New York, which is brutal. But cheers to Patrick Waugh for getting another shot, because he took a lot of risks with Denver and maybe he learned from it. You know what I mean? So cheers to him.
Hey, I got it real quick. I got to tell you my favorite memory of Patrick Waugh. Him and Cuz, I'm a Red Wings fan. Him and Mike Vernon meeting at center ice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah. What do you got, Ty?
We need more of that in the NHL. We need more of that.
I have no fucking idea what you guys are talking about.
You'll find out.
Google it.
Man, my shout out goes out to my old lady, man. Holding it down at the house. Like, it's the trade that I'm in is as hard as it could possibly be on the female of the house, and I'm just thankful, man. Shout out.
Let's get a golf clap on that one.
That's a for sure. That's a for sure. That's yes, absolutely.
Yep.
And she puts up with you,
she puts up with me, dude, and the kids all got fucking dance and practice for this and practice for that, and
she's running her ass off.
I got fucking clean, and I got clean clothes at home. And
hey, you know what they say,
like
Ty?
that,
I
dude,
don't heard this before, but you know what they say? Behind every good man, there's a good woman rolling her eyes. So I think.
Fuck yeah, dude! If I could, if you guys could hear my wife's eye rolls at me, god damn, dude, you couldn't hear nothing else.
Right on.
Yeah, she's awesome.
All right, so I'm gonna go with the Denver Nuggets, fellas. The Boston Celtics the other night, 20-0 at home. The Nuggets went in there and took a good game, real good game. I watched it. Goddamn, Jokic is just the Joker is just something else, man. Jamal Murray, love them guys. But anyway, took down the Boston Celtics at home, gave them their first home loss for the season. So nice job, boys.
Hey, good on them, but I'm a Celtics fan. That one hurt. It was a great game. That was a close game, man. I was like, oh, yeah, no, cheers to that. They pulled it out. That was a good game.
So anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Again, catch us on one of our platforms. Gmail, please comment. Let us know what you think, and hit that subscribe button. YouTube, catch us on Spotify, Instagram, and Facebook. Cocktails and Curveballs. Till next week, thank you all for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
Cheers.